Hi everyone, this is Debbie from Project39 Mini Albums, and this is Old Plus New 2022. This is a collab hosted by the fabulous Biddy Penny, which contains a group of talented creators. It's all about sharing creative joy and inspiration. We take something old and mix it up with something new and see what happens. This month, I'm honored to be the spotlight artist, and the theme was Play All Day. So I decided to take an old format, which is mini albums, it's what I'm known for, and play all day with a medium that was new to me to create something new. You're seeing pictures of the mini album and the mermaid fishtail that I made for the cover. Now, I made this with iridescent paint and scales using clay. I'll show you what I used for supplies in just a second. So here you see I used this paint that I've had in my stash for a long time. It's made by a company called Joe Sonia. It's iridescent paint, but you don't necessarily need to use that same thing. I'll talk about that in a second. To make this mermaid tail, I first took a piece of chipboard and using some Delight air dry clay, I made balls and attached it onto the chipboard. This air dry clay is very smooth and lightweight, and it takes all kinds of mediums. I started first making small balls, smaller than the size of a pea, added to the chipboard, and then smushed it, there's a technical term, on the bottom with my scoring tool. I decided I should probably add some glue just to make sure it stays on, because this is going to be the cover of a mini album. And then I also made the balls a little larger than a pea as I went on, because I realized it was going to take me forever. So I just kept adding row after row of the peas and then just smushed it on, trying to make just adding layer upon layer. You'll see that I keep adding the peas on top, and then I ended up going to using my fingers and just sort of pulling down, pushing down on the clay and pulling it down till it becomes real flat. So then the next layer that you put on has some dimension to it, but again, I'll pull it all down, and then you'll see layer after layer until eventually I just make small balls to the center of, where the tail narrows, and I didn't smush those down, but it doesn't matter in the end because I end up covering it up with the title. I will be showing you in more detail a walkthrough of the mini album I made. This Old Plus New is me doing a technique, making something different for the cover. I've not made anything three-dimensional for a cover like this. I had once seen a video on someone who made a dragon like this, and I'll probably try something like that towards Halloween. But I wanted something bright and colorful for summer, so that is how I made the scales of the mermaid. And you'll see in just a second, for the very bottom of the tail, for the fins, flippers, I don't know, the very bottom of the tail, I just rolled up some snakes and outlined the whole tail. I added glue just to make sure that would stay on as well. And then I just filled in the inside with some more snakes until all of that was completed. Then I took my fishtail and put it outside and let it dry, and I actually let it dry overnight. After it was air dried, then I put it under a bunch of scrapbook pads so it would flatten out overnight. So here I'm taking some dark blue paint and painting everything, and you'll notice that you should paint it once and then let it dry and paint it a second time. You may see there's some white dots that you don't notice while it's still wet. Now I took my iridescent paint and started painting on the scales after everything was dry, but I'm not nuts about it, so in the end I end up painting it all over in blue and starting again. I decided I needed a lighter color of paint, so I first play with the purple. I mean, the purple's not a real pretty purple, so I try to mix some colors to make it a real bright purple, but I end up just using blue and then some turquoise for the tail. I'm just highlighting the scales a little bit, just so when I put that iridescent paint on, it shows a little better. It just was too much of a contrast. So, yeah, so I just made it work. So now I've got my iridescent paint all laid out, and I start at the bottom and I'm doing it in a pattern. So since I have 4 colors, I do every 4th scale. I mean, it's not critical that you do it. I just wanted to have a good mix of the different colors, and since I like some of the colors more than others, I probably would have too many of one, so I forced myself to do a pattern. So again, if you don't have iridescent paint, use what you've got. You could just paint it with, turquoise, pinks, purples, greens, whatever you want. But I did list a couple things in the description box, a couple of ideas to add iridescence to the scales. I haven't tried them. First, again, I suggest using what you have in your stash, but just some ideas if this is something you really wanted to do and really wanted to get some iridescent thing. Just experiment with a couple of different things. And a couple more notes about old plus new. Anyone can join in. All you need to do is use the hashtag old plus new 2022, spell out plus, it's not the plus sign, or you could do hashtag old plus new JUL for July 2022 if you want to use this month theme, which is play all day or off-centered card. And again, I did make a mini album using this on the cover, so I'm going to show you a couple of sneak peeks in just a second, but don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications so you know when I finish the video and post it, doing the complete walkthrough on how I made the mini album. It shows you details like how I made the mermaids here and the page design. I used paper that didn't have any cut-aparts, so when you do that, you have to be real creative on how you make your pages. And I made this, it's a simple page design, and I don't have a tutorial on this. Let me know in the description box below or in the comments if you do want a tutorial. But basically the walkthrough is how I made the different page elements. And thank you, Biddy Penny, for inviting me to join along, and I hope this inspires everyone to make something old plus new. Thanks again. Have a fabulous day.